Hi and good morning. This is just the truth. Well, I was listening to a very good video on responsibilities of income, and it was showing how some people would live in. Well, basically, he was an accountant, and he would show how some people would live in the hood or in the poorest neighborhoods, and would have on they would have on name brand, which is I personally myself I never could understand that. Like he couldn't understand it, I couldn't understand it either. But this is the one that really bothered me because he was saying that you on Section 8, which is government subsidized. If anybody doesn't know, it's a government subsidized program from where you're lower income or have low income or no income, and that's for you to help pay for the rent. And in majority of these government programs, these Section 8 programs, you would live in apartments or homes or in what they call public housing. And in those public housings, you usually and those public housing on Section 8 programs, you don't have to pay too much rent. Not that. Barely no rent, maybe $100, $200 rent, and maybe each sometimes in a lot of cases even less. And the light and gas will be included, so you basically don't have to pay for anything. But in the meantime, you have these. These people who do live in these type of environments. They have on Gucci, they have on Prada, they have on Michael Kors is middle. Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Bellagio. They have on the most expensive name brand you can think of. And personally, I couldn't understand it myself because I'm like, how do you live on government subsidies and you have on Louis Vuitton? You have a Louis Vuitton bag which costs $2,000 and up. The minimum is like, for a bag is like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and definitely up. But somehow you can afford a Louis Vuitton, but you can't. But you living on sub government subsidies. And personally, he said it. Don't get mad at me. He said it, but actually, I used to not think about it, but I used to like wonder, like, how can you do that? If you're on government subsidies, why are you spending $2,000 on a bag instead of putting that money towards something that you need, not what you want? Because I know a Louis Vuitton bag, Gucci bag, whatever bag, whatever bag, belt, shoes, sneaker it is, I know that $2,000 and up can go, 100, $100, $200, $300 for a belt, and 2,000 and up for a bag. That $2,000 or few $100 can go towards an apartment. Can go towards something that you need, not something that you just want. Personally, he said it, but personally, it would bother me because it would bother me because I'm saying, why would you put buy $2,000? You would save your money for 2,000 and a bag, but you won't put the same amount of money and effort into saving up for an apartment that you don't have to, you don't have to be on some government subsidies or go back to school so you can get a better job or invest that money into something that you don't have to be on government subsidies. To me, that would bother me. He said it, but it would bother me because sometimes I did say it once or twice. I did say it to some people I know who did it. I know people that's personal people that I know personally that actually did it and probably still doing it, even though I have told them Why don't you do this? Why don't you do A, B, C, and D? And I asked them why they don't. And you know what? They basically said, well, mind my business. Or don't worry about it because that's my money. And I'm like, okay, no problem. And it wasn't, I wasn't trying to um, be mean to them. I was trying to say, why don't you do this, this, and this? So you don't have to rely on that. So you don't have to rely on that. Because if you rely because if you rely on that, believe me, eventually the government is going to start you know take they're going to start taking it away little by little, which they are. First it was Section 8, which now nobody wants to accept Section 8 anymore. Since nobody wants to accept Section 8 anymore, it's like, they're like, well, where are we going to live? And I'm like, well, I told y'all. I mean, it's the people that I knew was on it. I told y'all. And it wasn't like I just told them a few years ago. I've been telling them for like 20 something years. I've been telling them for years about that. Look, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Get off of that before they start chipping at it one by one. And this is what they're doing. Now a lot of landlords, they don't accept Section 8. And whatever else that's going to come behind it. See, with the pandemic, I understand it, it put everybody back to basically, you might as well say it put everybody back to where they was in point one, you know, point A. Because, now a lot of people are like, okay, well, I'm not going back to work and stuff like that. Yeah, but that's only if you have the savings, if you have the savings to do that. And I think that's where a lot of people got it mixed up. Because the people who are not going back to work are the ones who have a lot of savings and have other investments and have other incomes coming in that they don't have to go back to work. But then there's people that I know of, I mean, they did it just because everybody else said it. But in actuality, I mean, you need to go back to work because you don't have any savings. Because your savings is in what? Louis Vuitton bags, Gucci bags, Bellagio bags, and whatever other bags, high end bags that cost 1,000, 2,000 and up. That's your savings. You gotta sell it, but guess what? You may have paid $2,000 for it, but you're only gonna get paid. Maybe you're only gonna get it for not. You only gonna get. You ain't gonna get what you paid for. You gonna get it for like $900 for those bags. For a $2,000 bag, you're gonna get paid $900, maybe even $7. So and it really hurt me, not because first of all, I never been on Section 8, and I made sure my daughter was never on Section 8 either. My mother, we wasn't on Section 8. I was on, and when I left, I never was on Section 8. My daughter wasn't on Section 8. We never lived in like government housing. I never lived in government housing. My daughter never lived in government housing. It's I guess it's not just what they say, oh well, it's a mindset and everything like that. Yeah, but if a lot of people that I know, they're saying, okay, well, it's a mindset. Living in the government housing, oh, that's a mindset. No, it's not. It's not a mindset. This is what you grew up on. You're born and raised in the damn you in these excuse me, I'm so sorry. You are raised, you were born, sometimes born and raised in these type of environments. So it's not just a mindset. This is what you have been born and raised into this environment. And even if you move out of these type of environments and out of that situation, you still gonna have that same mentality. You're still gonna have the same mentality of I've been in that. You're still gonna have the same mentality. So it's not just a mindset, it's basically where you grew up. It's where you grew up that's the problem. And I definitely agree with this person who was an accountant. I said, look, I didn't tell him, but I'm thinking, I put it in the comments and said, look, you're absolutely right. Because I've known a few too many people that has that type of, not just the mindset, that's how they think. And no matter where, and no matter if they leave the situation, they still gonna have that mindset because it's never gonna leave them. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. To me, that's where it is. Because I'm like, $2,000, you could just, what I'm saying? You could get a course on real estate. You can go back to school, pay for your books, pay for at least not even one semester. But you know what I'm saying? You could pay for something. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's a course that, how real estate, how to do real estate, a course on how to make what I'm saying, candles. It could be for something productive. You just getting a bag, a 2,000 and up bag, or a belt that costs $500, and you wearing sneakers that cost 500 and $1,000. What the hell? What? And then you live in the hood, not just the hood. You live in a government subsidized building. What we call, what some people what I know people call them, that call them the projects. What are you doing? And like I've heard other people say, I mean, I never lived in a project, so I don't know. I've heard other people say you live in the projects in your mother house, but you have a Range Rover, you know what I'm saying, a Range Rover or SUV in front of the projects. I mean, what type of sense is that? You have a 30 to 50, $60,000 car, you know, parked in front of the projects. For what? You could have just used that 30, 40, $50,000 and put some money down on a down payment on a house. Or in some cases, you can buy the house outright and just have to fix it up for yourself or for rental property. I mean, personally, if I had that type of money, if I had the, if I had the two, well, I mean, I did have the, I can't say I never had it. I did, but I just never used it for that. Because I've gotten money before, especially for, I gotten money before. I mean, lump sums of money, but I didn't, what I did with it is I invested my money into businesses. You know, I invested my money into business. Every time I got some lump sum of money, it was from a job or or from something else. I invested into my business. Is it still flowing? Yes, it is. So I mean, it's so many things you can do with with that type of money. And it's real funny is that uh, with the PPP loan, I mean, a lot of these PPP grants and loan that they stole, because a lot of them are from or a lot of them are from the public housing. A lot of them are from they own public housing, they have Section 8, they have food stamps, they this, and they have no problem taking the money. And the funny thing is, it wasn't even for them. But this is my rant, and hopefully I see you again. Thank you so much.